My last mock got chewed up and spit out by you guys, but I am both stubborn and resilient, so I'm taking your constructive criticism and advice, and I'm making the ultimate mock draft 7.0. Lucky number 7 might be my last mock draft of the season, so I'm going to try to get this one as accurate as possible. So that means that this mock is based on what I think will happen more than what I would personally do. And because this mock is going to be so awesome, let's be bold and set the goal for this video at 1,000 likes. But if you think I should post one more mock draft before April 26th, please type the number 8 in the comments below. Okay, I'm not going to waste any more of your time setting the mood here. We're going to fly through some of these picks that haven't changed much from previous mocks. So if you want more in-depth breakdowns, go check out a previous mock draft of mine after this. And as always, the picks are time-stamped in the description below. With the first pick, the Cleveland Browns select Sam Darnold. Say what you want about Sam Darnold, but he's got a relatively high ceiling and an equally high floor. I don't think he has very many bust qualities about him, as long as the Browns can build a competent roster around him, and they're off to a good start already. Josh Allen, however, is going to get Browns GM John Dorsey fired, in my opinion. With the second pick, the New York Giants select Josh Rosen. Listen, Giants fans, I hear you in the comments, but drafting a running back at number 2 overall in the best college quarterback class in a decade is dumb. Everyone knows it's dumb, and I'm assuming GM Dave Gettleman knows it's dumb too. I think he's been playing the game and knew all along that Darnold or Rosen is a smart pick here. When I see mock drafts with Saquon Barkley here, I immediately just think it's a lazy mock draft based more on pleasing the readers than being accurate. It's no secret Giants fans are split on Barkley and Rosen, and it's a lot easier to please another fan base by dropping a quarterback into their lap. Chubb would make more sense at number 2 overall than a running back, but I'm not sure what kind of scheme fit he is in their new hybrid 3-man front. Overall, I think they're holding out for an even bigger trade than what the Jets were offering to move up, or they're going to settle in taking their quarterback for the future here. With the third pick, I have the New York Jets selecting Josh Allen. Man, you New Yorkers are noisy in the comments section. I'm sorry for not 100% buying into the pre-draft rumors, and I switched my last mock draft from Allen to Mayfield because that's who I would take here. But apparently the Jets like them tall, big, and with cannons for arms. They don't really care if they're wildly inaccurate at times. I still think Josh Allen hype is a smokescreen attempt to convince teams that he's truly better than he is and that they are going to need to move up for him and hopefully push another player down the draft. With the fourth pick, the Cleveland Browns select Saquon Barkley. So far, we are 4 for 4 here with controversial picks. The Browns should not trade down here, and in the end, I don't think John Dorsey will. Running backs are not typically worthy of the number 4 overall pick, but I agree Saquon Barkley is. I had him fall to the 49ers in the last mock, and I realized it's probably very unlikely, but it also doesn't change the fact that it is possible. We're talking about a running back in the first round, guys. Barkley is not even the best inside runner, and that's a pretty crucial ability for NFL running backs, and the difference between him and top drafted guys like Adrian Peterson, Ezekiel Elliott, and Leonard Fournette, his home run threat ability is real, but if he's behind a poor offensive line, then he's going to struggle just like Reggie Bush did. Luckily, the Browns are set up to have a decent interior offensive line for the next few years, and Barkley makes a lot of sense here. But I'm not going to be surprised when positional value takes over and the Browns take Bradley Chubb here at number 4 instead. With the fifth pick, the Denver Broncos select Quenton Nelson. I'm sure Broncos fans are dying for Baker Mayfield in this scenario, and I personally think he's going to be a really good NFL player. He's basically the anti-Josh Allen as far as accuracy goes. John Elway could try and get the Bills 2 first-round picks for this spot, but I'm not sure they're as desperate for Baker Mayfield as they seem to be for Josh Allen. I think the Broncos end up staying put and take the best offensive line prospect in years, allowing Case Keenum to have a chance to replicate his 2017 season, or maybe even try to revive the career of Paxton Lynch. I see a lot of people thinking Bradley Chubb might go here, but I just don't see it over Nelson. When a guard is the best overall prospect in the draft, he's definitely worthy of the top 5 pick. With the 6th pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Bradley Chubb. By now, I know you're thinking, yo, NFL retweet, I thought there were going to be some trades in this 2018 NFL mock draft. Well, they're coming, I promise, but this draft is very top heavy with talent, and I don't think teams are going to want to give up their positioning to get a top prospect. This draft is about quality over quantity, and the Colts need Bradley Chubb to help their transition back to a 4-3. Check out my 7-round mock draft for the Colts for more details here, but for this mock, we got to keep moving on because the people want their trades. With the 7th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Minkah Fitzpatrick. In my last mock, I had Minkah Fitzpatrick falling in the draft, and that's because he's a man without a true position. He's obviously one of the top football players in this draft, but he's going to take a team that is convinced of him playing one position or the other. The Bucs actually need help in multiple places in the secondary, so Fitzpatrick makes a lot of sense here, but Derwin James is still my favorite safety in the entire class, and I think his ceiling is much higher while Fitzpatrick is the safer of the picks. With the 8th pick, the Chicago Bears select Tremaine Edmunds. When you think about the greatest Bears teams in NFL history, one thing is consistent. They've always had great play from the linebacker position. Tremaine Edmunds could follow in the footsteps of previous prototypical linebackers in Chicago. He's got so much versatility that he could become the centerpiece of the defense and be moved all over the field for the Bears in their defensive scheme. At 6'5", 250, and only 19 years old, Edmunds is one of the highest ceilings in this draft. And here we have it, folks, the first trade of the draft. I have the Buffalo Bills trading with the San Francisco 49ers to get Baker Mayfield at number 9 overall. The Bills and Dolphins are both looking at Baker Mayfield as their future at quarterback, and after the Bills put in the work to get from 21 to 12, they can't let him fall to a division rival right in front of them. The Bills have met with Baker Mayfield 3 times already, and he seems like an ideal fit to give the Bills some offensive identity moving forward. With the 10th pick, the Oakland Raiders select Denzel Ward. This has been a pretty easy pick for the Raiders for quite some time. Check out my other mocks if you want more of a breakdown on why I think the Raiders would pick Ward here, but I don't want to take too much time up in this video. The only other player I could see the Raiders targeting this early in the draft is Roquan Smith. And we have another trade. After Baker Mayfield was snatched by the Bills right in front of the Dolphins, Dolphins trade back with the Chargers, and the Chargers with the 11th pick overall select Roquan Smith. For Gus Bradley's defense to really work, the Chargers need a rangy inside linebacker. And with the other Los Angeles team making splashy moves in their attempt to load up for a Super Bowl run in 2018, the Chargers should try to do something similar in the NFL draft. There's actually rumors the Chargers are interested in Lamar Jackson, which that would be definitely a splash move on their part. But to waste a first round pick on a player that won't help Phillip Rivers in his final few seasons would just be a slap in the face to the face of their franchise for the last decade. When the 49ers traded down, it opened up for Roquan to fall a little more, and the Chargers could seize the opportunity to fill their biggest need. With the 12th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Derwin James. The 49ers are building a no-fly zone in the Bay Area with the addition of Richard Sherman, and now the Cam Chancellor role will be filled by Derwin James. The 49ers already have a strong safety in Jaquiski Tartt, but he's not half the player that James projects to be. And James and Tartt could both be used at the same time, with James coming down to play some in the box as a nickel linebacker like he did at Florida State. James is just too much value to pass at this point, and I think John Lynch will see a little of himself in Derwin James while also improving their safety play. With the 13th pick, the Washington Redskins select Vita Vea. Here's another pick where you should go back and watch some of the other mocks I've posted because this pick hasn't changed a while, so we're just going to move right on. With the 14th pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting Josh Jackson. I've flipped back and forth on the Packers addressing their pass rush or their secondary in these mock drafts. Josh Jackson ends up being the pick here for me because I would love to pair him up with last year's second round pick, Kevin King, for a huge cornerback duo. And after the Packers passed on Harold Landry, the Patriots have traded up, and with the 15th overall pick, the New England Patriots select Harold Landry. The Patriots now have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, so I fully expect them to jump up and grab a player of value to them. The local product is easily the second best pass rusher in the draft, and the Patriots might have won the Super Bowl if they had more of a pass rush last year. The 16th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Calvin Ridley. I know, such an original pick, right? This feels like such a slam dunk pick, so for the sake of time, let's move on. With the 17th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins select Lamar Jackson. Now, this is not the first time I've toyed with the idea of Lamar Jackson going to the Dolphins. By restructuring Ryan Tannehill's contract, I think they are setting themselves up for a new quarterback sooner rather than later, with Tannehill being a high-level bridge quarterback. They have interest in Baker Mayfield, but when the Bills jumped in front of them to select him, they fall back a little bit to get an extra second rounder and still get who I think has potential to be the best quarterback overall in this class. When we have another trade, the Jacksonville Jaguars jump up to number 18 overall with the Seattle Seahawks and select Mike McGlinchey. The Jaguars are building a monster of an offensive line in Jacksonville because they want to lean on the running game until they run out of excuses for Blake Bortles. When the offensive tackles fall into the late teens, they could jump up and take one. For those of you that have seen my previous mocks, you know that I think that Connor Williams is the superior offensive tackle at the next level. But Mike McGlinchey just seems like such an ideal fit for the Jaguars, who are going to be looking for a mauler at right tackle rather than the smaller, more athletic Connor Williams. With the 19th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select DJ Moore. After finally cutting Dez Bryant, wide receiver has moved to the top of the Cowboys' needs. In the last 8 drafts, the Cowboys have picked 5 players on offense and 3 players on defense. All 5 offensive players have been Pro Bowl selections, while they're 0 for 3 for defensive Pro Bowlers. So the odds are in their favor of making the right pick here if it's a wide receiver. Courtland Sutton is another option here, but Sutton seems too similar to Dez Bryant in that he doesn't get much separation and is more of a post-up jump ball wide receiver. But that could be what they're looking for in a number 1 wide receiver. With the 20th pick, the Detroit Lions select Marcus Davenport. This pick also makes too much sense to change. Let's move on to the next one. With the 21st pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Rashaan Evans. Like I said in my last mock draft, the Bengals never pick who you think they will, and you can basically throw a best player at a position of need in every mock and still won't guess who they take. This time I've got them taking a linebacker, partially to eventually replace Vontaze Burfict, and partially to deplete the talent pool at a position of their rival Steelers' biggest need. With the 22nd pick, I have the Buffalo Bills selecting Connor Williams. Connor Williams is the top offensive tackle in my opinion, and the Bills are reshaping their offense with two of the most important positions getting a youthful upgrade. With the 23rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Isaiah Oliver. The Cardinals might be one of the worst teams in the NFL in 2018, and it doesn't feel like they're about to change the course of that in this draft. Maybe I'm underrating the return of David Johnson, but with such a bleak quarterback situation, I don't know how there can be much optimism in the desert. The Cardinals have been searching for a cornerback opposite of Patrick Peterson for a long time, and this might finally be the year they address the position. With the 24th pick, the Carolina Panthers select Jair Alexander. The Panthers tried to upgrade their cornerbacks with Bashaud Breeland, but he failed a physical. Jair Alexander is an exciting cornerback that is dripping in personality, something their secondary has been lacking since Josh Norman was allowed to walk. And we have another trade. The Minnesota Vikings trade with the Tennessee Titans, and at number 25 overall, the Vikings select Isaiah Wynn. The Vikings are all in for the next few years, and they should be aggressive to solidify their offensive line by jumping in front of a team like the Falcons, who might take Isaiah Wynn with the very next pick in this scenario. Isaiah Wynn would solidify the Vikings offensive line, allow them to focus on the running game, and not put too much pressure on Kirk Cousins. With the 26th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Daron Payne. With Isaiah Wynn getting plucked from right underneath the Falcons, I have them sticking with the safe pick and Daron Payne again. With the 27th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Mike Gesicki. I really thought Jimmy Graham was headed back to New Orleans, but the Saints can grab a younger, cheaper version in Mike Gesicki, who I have as my top tight end in this draft. The Saints are one of my sleeper teams for Lamar Jackson, and I really wish that Sean Payton would stand on the table to get him, because I would love to see the damage the two of them could cause together. With the 28th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Leighton Vander Esch. If Leighton Vander Esch falls to the Steelers at number 28, it has got to be destiny. Vander Esch seems so much like an old school linebacker, and I would love to see him replace Ryan Shazier in the middle of their 3-4 defense. With the 29th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select James Daniels. The Seahawks don't have a ton of picks in this draft, and trading down allows them to pick up a few more while also addressing their biggest need. James Daniels is such an underrated offensive lineman in this draft and has a ton of versatility and potential at the next level. With the 30th pick in this draft, the Tennessee Titans select Josh Sweat. Edge rusher has been a consistent position I've mocked here for the Titans, but who's available has been a constant revolving door. And Derek Morgan has never been a true fit for a 3-4 defense, but he's been able to get by for the Titans because he's just that talented. If Mike Vrabel can find a 3-4 outside linebacker worthy of the 25th pick, I think they jump on him. The way that this draft has fallen, I think they have to reach a little bit, so the trade down makes a lot of sense. Josh Sweat is my surprise first rounder here, but I think he's an ideal fit to bring along behind Arakpo and Morgan. With the 31st pick, the New England Patriots select Mike Hughes. I'm still hoping that we someday find out the real reason that Bill Belichick benched Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl, but I'm sure if the Patriots won and the move didn't likely cost them a Super Bowl victory, Bill Belichick would have told us by now why he benched him. Either way, the Patriots need to add more prospects at the cornerback position, and I think that they place a higher priority on this than the offensive line. With the 32nd pick, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles select Darius Geis. Once again, the Eagles gave me a mock draft challenge here. After looking at the offensive tackles they visited with, there isn't really one worthy of their 32nd overall pick. Without a pick in the second or third, this is actually a great trade down scenario for the Eagles with a team that wants that 5th year option on a player. But I couldn't find a dance partner in this mock, so I stayed put and I took Darius Geis. Mostly because the Eagles are in a position to take a luxury player and also prevent the Giants from drafting Geis a few picks later. That's it for the first round, guys. Remember to hit that like button in our quest for 1,000 likes. And while you're at it, subscribe and hit the bell icon to become part of the NFL Retweet Notification Squad. I'm going to run through the second round picks here as fast as possible and let the third round play out without commentary. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The Browns are not going to replace Joe Thomas, but they better at least try. Nick Chubb gets the nod over Michelle because he's more of a scheme fit as an every down inside runner. Justin Reed would allow Jabril Peppers to play closer to the line of scrimmage. The Colts let Moncrief walk and need a big guy like Courtland Sutton opposite of T.Y. Hilton. Josie Jewell is a defensive leader for the middle of their new 4-3 defense. I think Sony Michel has a higher ceiling than Chubb and fits perfectly in the pass-first offense. Bears need a road grader like Will Hernandez. Broncos restock the cornerback depth with Carlton Davis. Raiders need an athletic linebacker like Malik Jefferson. Dolphins need a Stu replacement like Taven Bryan. Cardinals need some weapons for the post-Larry Fitzgerald era. Redskins are going to be leaning heavily on their defense and need more secondary help. The Packers love their second round wide receivers and James Washington was highly productive. Bengals need more interior offensive line help. Cardinals take a flyer on Mason Rudolph as a potential future quarterback. Offensive line needs to establish some consistency. Colts wait to address the offensive line by getting an athletic right tackle candidate with left tackle potential. Cowboys love taking flyers on players with potential medical issues in the second round. The Lions need to block better before addressing the running back position. Ravens continue to surround Flacco with weapons to eliminate excuses. 49ers add an explosive pass rusher to play along their defensive line that's still transitioning to a 4-3. Dante Jackson is an attempt to find a Marcus Peters replacement. Panthers stop the Sam Hubbard fall. The Bills' offensive reset continues with a new wide receiver. Titans continue to build in the trenches for their running game. Falcons find a Taylor Gabriel replacement. Another big cornerback is an insurance policy on Richard Sherman's Achilles. Steelers finally get a true free safety. Seahawks have to take a chance on Holton Hill. Vikings add pieces to the middle of their defense to develop behind Sheldon Richardson. Patriots grab a huge offensive tackle with a wild name. Browns wait on a cornerback and it pays off.